welcome and thank you for joining us today with just a moment of clarity with Positive Nay. I am your host, Positive Nay, and we have a special guest here today with us, Barbie Wicker. How are you today, Barbie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. I am doing well also. So Barbie is a South Carolina native. She's a master certified life coach and the founder of Grace in Good Space, a life coach and advocacy company. She currently resides in Michigan. And Barbara, we're going to go ahead and get started here today. And we're going to get started with just talking about family first. Is that okay?
Sure.
All righty. So tell us a little bit about your family, because in addition to your professional career that I just read off, you are a mom and a wife as well.
Yes, I am. So I am a wife. I've been married since 2016 to my husband, Wardrell, and we have together 4 children. So I have 2 bonus kids, a 22-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, and then I have my 2 biological kids, a set of 3.5-year-old boy-girl twins.
Wow, sounds like a handful.
It can be, for sure.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, let's talk about a little bit about being a mom. So being a mom of 4, what is a challenge that you face and how do you overcome it?
Being a mom of 4, a challenge that I face can actually be finding the time or making time, and then managing everything that comes along with it. In reality, current day, it's 2 or 3 of them. So the oldest has a job, she's off on her own. But everything else is managing the household, managing who's telling on who, managing daycare, activities, extracurricular things, needs, wants. And so sometimes the list gets quite overwhelming. So I try to keep a calendar, and I just try to make sure that there's time set aside for what it is that they need and some of the things that they want. I'm not a huge planner type person. Like I can't sit down and plan things out, every little detail. I'm more of a kind of in the moment, fly by night, what's going on today type of person. So that can be a challenge sometimes.
Okay, so you're just a spontaneous mom.
Yes, definitely spontaneous. I'm the mom that drops the kids off at daycare and then gets a message through the class app. Hey, there's a blanket missing, or there's a stuffy missing and someone's angry at nap time. So I'm that kind of mom. We make it, it's messy. There's no manual for parenthood whatsoever, but we all enjoy just each other and how we are.
Right, so you enjoy each other and how you are. What is another joy of motherhood?
Trying not to do too many comparisons, especially with the younger 2. Twins, boy, girl, differences already exist with the fact that they're different genders, but then also not comparing and just letting the expectations happen as they come along, not comparing milestones, not comparing who's able to do what, who's learning what faster, who can pick this up, who's a little kinder, who's not so loud, those type of things. Just allowing them to be able to grow into who they are as kids. And as a mom, just realizing that I need to give them space and I need to be patient, way more patient than I've ever had to be. But it's what they need in order to become well-rounded children, I think. So
that's an important one right there. Don't compare the siblings.
Mm-hmm.
In the line of work that I do with working with different families, that's a challenge that especially younger parents I found seem to have difficulty with. Like, well, your brother did this at age 2, or your sister did this at age 5. Why can't you be more like her? Like, how would you respond to that parent who is trying to fit that older child into that younger child or that younger child into that older child's mold, or vice versa?
I would just ask them to consider that each person is an individual. And with that comes a level of respect, first of all, for their individuality in who they are. So I know, for instance, my generation, there's the older generation that always wants to tell you how to raise the kids. Well, they should be doing this by this time. They should be doing this by that time. And so for our generation and the ones of us that are younger, I would just say, be patient. And that's a skill that is outside of parenthood. You have to develop patience in order to raise children and raise them without trauma. Let them be who they are. And our job as parents is to guide them and show them the way, not to force expectations and not to belittle them by making them feel that they're less than who they are in the moment because they can't do something like somebody else, or they haven't mastered a certain skill as quickly as we would want them to, or like their brother did, or like their best friend. It's just, those are unfair expectations to put on children.
I agree with that completely. Those are unfair expectations, and let the children be individuals. I love it. I think that is some great advice for our parents. So while raising your children, I'm sure that each day you're imparting some type of lesson to them, whether it's don't hit sister, don't hit brother, whether it's eat all your food, whether it's no, tonight we're not having pizza. What is a lesson that you are teaching your children now that they can take with them when they get older, which they may not even realize it's a lesson?
Above everything else, I'm teaching them to be kind to each other and to stick up for one another. I am telling them, even at this young age of 3.5, the two of you are each other's best friend, whether you realize it now or not. And so it's gotten to the point where I let them have their little toddler squabbles, but I always circle back to a discussion. Okay, let's come together. Let's talk about it. What happened? Okay, well, how do you feel about that? And what do you think you should do next time? I try not to scold too much unless it's getting out of hand. Even at this young age, children are really smart. And if they're guided correctly, they can start to work through some conflicts, at least with people that they're their same age and people that they're very close to and see on a daily basis quite early. So I just teach them to be kind to one another and to be kind to other people. First and foremost, though, have each other's back. Make sure, my son has gotten in the habit of asking my daughter, are you comfortable? Do you feel comfortable? Are you okay? She'll ask him the same thing. She'll put her arm around him after he's had a meltdown about something, and she'll say, do you feel better now? So those are the types of things I want them to get in the habit of doing, because we can't depend on outside people to kind of nurture our kids when we don't teach them how to nurture each other.
I agree with that completely. And kindness is so needed in this world. Just be kind. It won't cost you anything to just be kind. So that is definitely an awesome lesson there. I definitely agree with that. And having one another's back, because not only being kind but loving each other, having someone there who has your back is needed in this world. It really is. And those things actually can help reduce some of the trauma that kids experience as they get older. So it sounds like you are raising your children in a nurturing, loving environment. So that is awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So how do y'all enjoy family time?
Right now, it's lots of playgrounds, lots and lots of playgrounds. I'm blessed enough to have the flexibility with my job where I can travel sometimes. I work remotely, so with my main job, and so I take them a lot of places. I don't have a lot of weekend work. I try to get them to their grandparents as often. We do museums, we do splash pads. So there's always, I'm always trying to make sure that they are experiencing different things. And so family time today is going to look like the big park they like to go to, the big playground once I pick them up from daycare. Now, there's a caveat around that. You have to have a good day today in order for us to go to the playground. Um, but those are some of the things we do. We walk in the mall, we go to the library, and a lot of times I let them lead that. What are you interested in today? And if there isn't much interest in anything, then I try and give a few choices. That's for the kids. For my husband and I, our schedules are so opposite. So we try to get away and plan trips every so often, weekend getaways, or sometimes we'll hang out late, even though he has to get up super early in the morning. He'll hang out late with me at night. We'll sit up, laugh, and joke. We catch a movie. We watch a few of our favorite series on Netflix every now and then. So definitely trying to weave in family time wherever we can get it.
Okay, so your family time includes a lot of quality time.
Mm-hmm.
It's much needed, especially in relationships and families.
Yes.
That's awesome. And then I heard you say that your reward for your children having a good day is giving them the voice to choose what they like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important. I think parents need to realize that although we are the parent, it's important that children, even at a young age, a toddler age, 3.5, that they have a voice in what they want to do as well. That is another skill that will help them as they continue to get older, to be able to voice, how they're feeling or what they would like to do, or did they have a good day or did they have a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So all that is that emotional learning that is going to carry them so much farther as they continue to get older. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us about your family and all the great things you do and how you are raising your children up to be good citizens. That is so awesome. Now, aside from your family life, you are also a life coach.
I am.
Awesome. And I've actually spoken with you sometimes, and you've given me great advice on just getting my business life in order. Which was one of the reasons.
Hey, it looks like it's paying off. So congrats.
Thank you. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, in addition to talking about your family, because here at Just a Moment of Clarity, we focus on family, supervised visitation, and community. Yeah. So we focus on your family. Now we're going to go to our community here in this episode. And like I said, your advice you gave me, it helped propel me to where I am now. Because as you recall, I was all over the place.
That's not uncommon, believe it or not. So,
but you did help me get direction. So for those who are not familiar with life coaching, outside of what we just talked about, what is life coaching?
So it's so broad that you can go in any direction. So in a nutshell, it's about helping people focus. It's about mindset. It's about perspective. And it's about helping people just move from one point to the next, whether that's moving because they feel like they're stuck in a certain position and are just kind of spinning and not going anywhere. Whether that's helping them realize what type of power they have in order to choose certain things, or whether it's partnering to help usher someone through some sort of crisis that doesn't necessarily require medical intervention. So life coaches are not therapists by any means. We're more of support. a large space for listening and kind of dumping issues, if you will. And just that external person that is there to help, because not everyone wants to tell their BFF what's going on. Not everyone wants to tell their closest coworker what's going on. So we provide an outlet for that. And different coaches coach in different areas, and their strategies are different. Ideally, the strategy is to listen to someone's concern or particular challenge, and then formulate questions around what you know in the context of what they're going through to help them come to the answer themselves. So
that's great. And a support system, someone to bounce ideas off, someone to help them, guide them a little, but not a therapist. And I think that's important because, some people get that confused. Well, I have a therapist, so I don't need coaching, but a therapist is going to help you on that mental, what's going on mentally. And then that coach is going to help you with more of direction and guidance. Okay, well, have you thought about this? Am I on the right line?
Yes. Have you thought about this? And what if you focus on this aspect of it? So, for instance, if there's something that's just terrible going on and it's out of the realm of what you can control, then your mind ideally would go from, oh, this situation is a hot mess. This is going on, that's going on, that's going on. Ideally, you'd like to shift and think, okay, I can't control this. So what am I supposed to be learning here? Or what can I do to help mitigate some of the effects of this? So these are the consequences. Is there anything that I can do to make it a little easier to remove myself from the situation? So this is where the choices come in. And it's important to realize that the choices don't always feel good, but sometimes they're exactly what's necessary. So once you make a choice and think about it, then there comes the work of actually working through the process to make that choice happen. So it can get complicated.
And that's where a life coach comes in and helps out. I absolutely love it. Okay. So you are the founder of Grace and Good Space. So tell us about those services that you do specifically and how our listeners can connect with you.
So yeah, Grace and Good Space was born out of just the main things that I found myself doing, and actually through validation and affirmation from other people saying, I think you should do this. I think you're good at that. You missed your calling as an attorney, is what somebody told me one time. I was like, oh my goodness. Look, Barbie will argue you into the hole. So I just put all that together, and I ran it by my parents first. I did. I'm like, this is the idea that I have. And they've kind of helped me foster that vision and told me too, yeah, you have pretty good insight into situations or whatever. So it's a life coaching company. It's an advocacy company, and then I do some public speaking or facilitation for things that I feel like I can add value to a community or a conversation for. So I have a website. I can be found at www.graceandgoodspace.com. And I can also be messaged at info@graceandgoodspace.com. I do have a Facebook page, but a part of business is trying to figure out what's going to work for your business. And in this season where so much is going on, the Facebook algorithm just isn't putting things in front of people who need to see it. Part of that is looking at analytics and things. So the Facebook page isn't really active right now. You can find me on Instagram at Barbie G Wicker. You can always send me a message there. I usually try to post some content in form of reels or, some stories sometimes, but Yeah, just inbox me and we can chat. There's a Sociotap link in that bio as well with the link to my different services.
Awesome, awesome. One of her favorite, or one of my favorite weekly posts. I had no, what is it? What is your weekly proud? Is that it?
It's the weekly proud.
The weekly proud, one of my favorites. Even if I don't have a chance to respond, it does cause me to sit down and take a moment. Okay, Renee, what are your wins this week? That's all we focus on. What are your wins this week? So so that is great. So awesome. And thank you again for coming on. But before we end, I want to know if you would play a little game with me.
Sure.
Awesome. So this game is called Let Me Be Clear.
Okay.
So I am going to read a statement and ask you a question, or either give you a fill in the blank. And these will be your parting words for our audience.
Okay.
All righty. So the first one is, let me be clear on family. How can busy parents show up for their children?
Busy parents show up for their children by making time. And in order to make time, priorities need to be in order. So busy parents get to choose not to make busy an excuse and put their children up the same, if not higher, than the job and the work and the groceries and the this and the that. You can always delegate if you have that option. You can always postpone if you have that option. You can always reschedule if you have that option. I think showing up for kids should be at the top for busy.
Awesome. I love it. And then our last one here, let me be clear on focus. What advice would you give someone whose focus is a little off due to the challenges of life?
That's a really good one, especially this day and age, in this current season we're in. So in terms of being clear on focus, the first thing I would say is stop, not pause, stop, and make an active decision to clear your mind of all the fog. And then figure out what's important, how you plan to move from one point to the next, what your focus is, because research has shown, even though I'm the first one to say, I can multitask, I can do this, that, third, your brain can really only function and focus on one task at a time. So multitasking is a very quick switch from one thing to the other. It's not concentrating on everything at one time. So figure it out. I mean, you just have to be clear. And in terms of the challenges, find some way to seek help if that's indeed what you need to move some of those things out of the way.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That is awesome advice. And we thank you, Barbie, for being our special guest today. And remember, you can connect with Barbie at her website, www.graceandgoodspace.com. Thank you for tuning in. And we will look forward to sharing with you all again soon in just a moment.
Thank you.